Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. My name is Rick Utzer here with Gateway Airguns and Airgun Web. We have what I hope to be an educational, informative video for you guys. We're going to be looking at the difference between a rifle and a bullpup and why ergonomics matter. Let's get started. Okay, so this is a topic that you're going to hear me talk about a lot out when I'm out of the range, and I really haven't created some content that really talks about the issue, right? Okay, so I'm going to do my best here. And first of all, this will probably be a long video, so just settle in because we got a lot to cover here. Hopefully it won't be too terribly long, but hopefully you guys will get something out of it as well. So I want to look at the difference between like a rifle and a bullpup. And this is not your typical rifle, but this used to be a rifle until we threw it in this super tactical stock. It's still a rifle. I guess that's it. My point being is that you have AR style, you have an AR style rifle, you have a regular rifle, you have bullpups, and you have all these different things. And ergonomically, it may fit you perfectly or you may struggle. And the biggest issue I have, it deals with scope height. So we did an unboxing of the Avenger Bullpup, and if it shoots like the Avenger, it's going to be awesome. We already know that. So we have high expectations for great performance, accuracy, all that kind of fun stuff. It's going to be great, right? Unless they totally screwed up, which I doubt very seriously because it's a known commodity. The Avenger is awesome. But they were talking about they lowered the rail. And I know that there's a lot of people, because I see the comments, that talk about the scope's too high. Well, you got to be able to see through the scope, right? I mean, if you ever shot an AR, there's a reason they have a riser on it. Like if you have the handle with the open sights, the sights are high. Why? Because when you shoulder it and you get your eye, your cheek weld, your eye is that far above, right, wherever you're welding, right? So if you're going like this and the sights are down on the thing, you've got to crick your head. And every time you're done shooting, you got to go to the chiropractor to get adjusted. And that is basically what happens to me when I'm shooting rifles where they don't get the scope rail high enough. So when they're talking about they got the rail lower, I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's fine. I don't know yet. We're going to find out. But if it's not fine, I'm going to also give you guys an option that if you're like me and you need the scope higher, you have something to go to without having to use adapters. I hate using a mount and then things, and I want a direct connection with my scope to the rail. I don't want to have something in between personally. One, I think it looks stupid. And I know I've said that if I'm shooting it, I ain't looking at it, but nonetheless, I don't like it. So I don't want to use a rail and then mounts because then it's sometimes too high. So I'd like to have something that gives me the perfect scope height for me ergonomically. So this rifle, if I could show you something here, this is actually a JTS Aracuda. It's in the buck rail bits and pieces, which are freaking awesome. Terry is a mad genius back there, just cranking stuff out with his 3D printers and makes some incredibly cool stuff. Also a sponsor for GTA, so definitely check out his website. But if you notice here is our stock, right? And here's our cheek weld. Here is our bore. So our bore is above our cheek weld. So when I go to grab this gun, now this is using Hawke Hight rings, which I printed out. These are 29 millimeters of rise. I don't know exactly I'm just going by millimeters here because that's what I'm going to use for reference over here. But it's 29 millimeters. So that's not quite an inch. Okay. So if 30 millimeters is actually it's a little bit more than an inch. So I don't know what an inch is, but 30 mils is bigger than an inch. So it's a little bit more higher than an inch. But when I pull this up, I can get a good cheek weld and I have no problems locking in and seeing through that scope perfectly fine. Doesn't matter the magnification. I am in line. I have good height. Now, yeah, just like that. It's repeatable. It's just comfortable for me. Now, if this was lower and I have a little bit of room here, right? So we could go lower. Then that means I'm going to have to reposition my face in potentially an uncomfortable position. I don't want to do that. If I'm out shooting and I'm having fun, I want it to be fun. I don't want to have to go to hospital after I'm done because I can't move my neck, right? Again, this is me. You may not have this issue. I pull this up. I get good eye relief. I get good eye position. I don't have to work. I don't have to fight the scope or fight the stock or fight the position to get what I need to be able to see properly. Okay, we're going to take the scope off and we're going to mount it here and we're going to see how the ergonomics work. Is it too high? Is it too low? Maybe it's just right. Maybe they nailed it and I'm full of poo. We're going to find out because I haven't actually done it yet. So I'm going to take this down. Well, let me do this first. So we just talked about this is my cheek weld. This is my bore. Now I'm going to set this down for a moment so you can see this better. Now let's look at this, right? My bore is down here, right? My cheek weld's here. Okay, do you see the difference? Okay, so one, the cheek weld's here, bore's here. I line it up, it works, just fits. Now we're taking this and making it here. Where are my sights, right? So if my sights are low, then I'm having to, who knows what, to try and get on target. Now, if I pick this up and I shoulder it, I can tell you that I need to be about here. If it's going to be down here, it's going to be too low, right? This is my cheek weld. Where's my scope going to sit? Now, we're going to try these Hawke Hight mounts. Hopefully, it's fine. We don't have a problem. And they've nailed it. I don't know. I haven't tried it yet. But there's a lot of companies, they just get it wrong. And I've talked to them about it. It's not something I keep to myself. The JTS Braun, I like the gun. The scope rail is just too low. It makes it very difficult and uncomfortable to shoot. And that's why I bought these new mounts. If this doesn't work, I've got some new mounts to show you. I'm going to show them to you anyway. But let's see how this does. And what I really want to do for this bullpup is I'd like to shoot it with the ATN optic, which I have right here. I don't know how those mounts are going to be. These are generally higher than your typical scope mount, so this may just be fine. We're going to find out. Okay, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to set this down. And we're going to go with this guy. And let's see where we fall. Okay, first of all, let's see where our scope height. Now we are way high compared to what we were in the other gun, right? So we were like this, now we're much higher. Okay, we want to make sure we're on. That's going to be, I got to flip it around. Do this. I've not taken this out to shoot with it yet, but we're going to do that shortly. Okay, I don't know how far back I need to be, so I'm just going to throw it on here and just see. So we have the top down shot, so maybe that's getting some of this. I try and keep everything on the mat so that it's somewhat centered for you guys. Let's see. Let's see if they nailed it or if we need to go a little bit higher. Again, these are the distance from the bottom to the center is 29 millimeters. I have something that gives us a little more room. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I can tell you now that as I'm looking through it, the scope, I'm going to have to get uncomfortable. I'm going to have to rest it right on my cheekbone. I normally set the stock right under my cheekbone, just like that, so I'm comfortable. This is low. For me to shoot this, I would have to basically rest it on my cheekbone and tilt my head way to the right. For me, I can tell you that if I'm going to be shooting at the bench or sitting at the bench shooting for an extended period of time, that's going to be uncomfortable. It also needs to come forward some. Let me pull it forward a little bit. At least I'll know where to put my other mounts. But as I suspected, it's just too low. For me, it's too low. And, you know, maybe they have a whole team of guys that are skinny little shooters that get in there. They go, oh, this is awesome. And they don't think about us bigger fat guys. I don't know. I just don't know. But I'm old, I'm fat, I'm not terribly flexible, and I don't like pain. So if I'm going to sit at the bench and shoot, I'd like to be comfortable. Okay, pushing it forward. Okay, we definitely have a little bit easier on the eye distance, but I'm still too low. And to get comfortable, it is also a little bit crooked. So it was straight on the other gun, it's crooked on this one. So we'll have to adjust that. I would like a little more height, personally. By the way, the scope I'm using is a Hawke Frontier. It's a 5-25, I believe. Super nice scope, like super, super nice scope. First focal plane. It's really awesome. Anyway, we're going to swap these out. Okay, so I have some mounts. Let me get this. First of all, let me just take it out of these mounts. So go ahead and pull it out here. And it would be nice if Hawke had a little bit higher mounts that we could work from. That would be awesome. And it's very close. I mean, we're probably off probably about 10 millimeters. You'll understand that in a minute. Or maybe 9 millimeters. But anyway, let's get these out here. Okay, so this is going to have some goo on it because it's got some scope tape in there that helps cushion the rings. Also stops the scope from sliding around without having to get overly tight with the scope rings. Okay, it's stuck to it, you see? So I'm going to take this off, try to, and then put it back in the rings. They really should sell rolls of this so that you can use it again or get fresh the scope stuff here. But they don't, and they really should. That would be kind of cool because it would work not only in their mounts, but other mounts to cushion without having to overly tighten the rings. It'd just be an interesting thing they could provide. All right, so we're going to pull it off here, and then I'm going to get some goo gone, clean the scope up. So let me do this. We may time lapse this so you guys don't have to, or speed ramp this so you don't have to sit and wait while I do this. So stand by. We'll be right back. And Cheryl can put in some funny music here. So let's talk about these new mounts. Let's go back to my printout. By the way, if you need to get sticky residue off stuff, Goo Gone is a great way to do it. It does make a bit of a mess though. All right, we're looking at 29 millimeter rise on the Hawke mount. So I looked up adjustable mounts and there's all kinds, and I wanted something that would be affordable, not terribly expensive, so not like 100 and some change, more like 25, 30-ish. And I found these mounts. These are available on Amazon. I will put links in the video description. They will be affiliate links. If you buy them, well, great. I appreciate that. It helps us out a teeny little bit. All right, so these give us a center height of 32 to 38. So we have that pretty cool adjustment. Now, these are our mounts right here, okay? Now, I'm going to use it's a 4. Yeah, so we have number 4. This pin pulls out like that, and now the mounts come apart. Very, very cool, right? There are lines, and there's a little channel in here. So it's actually indexed, so it's got teeth that grab at the highest bit, which we're going to start at the highest point, which is going to be that 38 mil. That's going to give us enough, I think enough rise. All right, so we'll go ahead and tighten that up. Okay, so now we've given ourselves a good bit of space, right? So that should give us, I don't need a ton of, see, here's the thing that I've always run into. It's not like I've needed a ton of rise. I need like this much. So by having to put like a 1/2 inch rail and then mounts, it's too much. This could be just the ticket. Let's find out. So we'll take the top off. Now these mounts work for both 30 mil and 1 inch tubes. There's inserts in them. So you take the insert out, you're going to have, okay, you're going to have the, it's going to work for a 30 millimeter scope. So there's a little insert, pops right out. save those. You could reuse them, reuse the mounts on something else. Okay, so we're gonna go like this. Now, it's a little forward, right? So I think I'll mount this one like this. Now, I'm thinking if you needed to adjust a little bit, where you like deal with those like barrel droop or whatever, you might could get away with a little bit, but it's really not a great idea because these can't. So you'd be setting your scope like this, and then you'd be buttoning it down, and you'd probably damage your scope. So while you might be tempted to do that, I would probably say don't. Okay, that is cool. Really nice mounts the way they lock in there. I'll use a, yep. Okay. And we are, that's tight. Okay, now let's grab our other, all right, we got our other mount. And I guess the tricky bit would be, as you're looking here, you have these lines. It would be nice if you could like make sure you were absolutely dead on. So you probably want to be careful when you are setting this up so that you don't get them out of alignment. Because like I said earlier, while you could technically probably do something where you had a little bit of offness to adjust for barrel droop and stuff, you may find yourself damaging your scope. You don't really want to do that. You want to be lined up. And I think that's it. I have the white line right at the top. I'm going to show it like that. Hopefully you can see it in the top camera there. And that should get us lined up perfect. We'll go ahead and lock this down. And we should be right about there. If we need to adjust, we will. The mounts obviously are a little bit different. They have two pinned or two rails that go in the slots instead of the single one. So maybe a little more secure, but I don't know. Definitely higher, like a lot. Maybe what I should do, just for giggles, let's see what it looks like with the other mount on. All right, so take this off, take our inserts out. Let's grab one of these. And if I put this up next to it, it's a lot lower. I mean, a lot lower. It's about, I don't know, I would say 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch. It gives me an additional height, which is, I think, exactly what I need for this to be comfortable. Let's find out. And if it's a little too high, the beauty is we can go down, right? We can go down a little bit. Okay. If this is all I need to do to make it so I can shoot some of these guns that I think are really nice and awesome, but the scope alignment with the scope rail and stuff just do not do well for me. If all I needed was $25 mounts, then, or whatever they cost, might have been 30 bucks, then that's going to be awesome. Okay, so I'm going to loosen this up a little bit. Personally, I like the gap to be even. It's kind of me being maybe what we'll call particular. Let me get the other one mounted. I'm super excited if this works. Oh man. Now, obviously we've increased the height, right? But if it's more comfortable to shoot, that's going to be cool. While I'm doing this, chat just a little bit about what a bullpup's for in the first place. So bullpups, guys, were never meant to be bench rest long-range shooters. That was not why they were created. They were created because the military needed the range and accuracy of a long-barreled gun with the maneuverability of a compact or carbine. So that's how this came to be, right? So you have the full-size barrel and action and all that other stuff shifted back, so the center of gravity's back, and a much smaller profile. Like if I grab this, right? So if we look at just the action's the same, right? But look at the difference in size. Okay, oh, well, you guys can't see it. Let me try that again. All right, so if we look at the action, right, the action's a little bit longer on the Bullpup, right? But now let's look at the overall length of the gun. Okay, you see what I'm saying? So you wanted something, or they wanted something that maintained the accuracy and firepower, but made it more compact and usable. So that's where the Bullpup came into play. I'm missing a screw. It's on my thing. Go back here. So it was designed to be this. It was designed to be something that you're going to be in tight quarters and you can maneuver and you can get around the door. And this is where air gunners, we don't really do that. I mean, I don't think we do that. I get if you're hunting, the balance may be nice. I get some of the ergonomics that may be decent and functional. But let's remember that this was never designed to be like a long-range bench rest platform. It was designed to clear buildings and work in tight quarters. If you can do a little bit of both, that's great. But it does mean that you're going to have this. You're going to have this height if you're going to be comfortable, at least if I'm going to be comfortable. Now let's see where we're at here. I got to move it forward. I will tell you the scope height is perfect. I'm right where I like to be, right under my cheekbone. And it is just bang. I might move it forward just a little bit. It needs to rotate just a touch. And I could probably bring it forward one notch. But for right now, I want to make sure that crosshair is dissecting the receiver perfectly. That's good. That looks straight to me. I can check it out when I get down the range. That's a little bit over adjusted. And it does need to go forward just a little bit. But that is what I wanted. I wanted to be able to use mounts that go directly to the rail that fit me. These high mounts are great most of the time. I've never had a problem with them, except when we get to these Bullpups. And manufacturers said, let's get the rail lower. Just makes it that much more difficult. I need the scope height for me. If you're going to have your cheek weld this high above the bore, that means your scope has to come up, or you're just going to, again, you're going to have to go to the chiropractor after you go to the shooting range. Be like a two thing. On Thursday, I'm going to the range and then going directly to the chiropractor afterwards. Yeah, I think that's impractical. Now I can get the height I need. And the cool thing is, if you want it lower, these are adjustable, right? So if you want it lower, you can come down maybe, I don't know, 5, 10 mil. Well, not 10 mil because you don't have that much of adjustability, but you can come down 5 mil and you could get it just a little bit lower. So I think it's cool. This is what I want to show you guys. I'm like tickled that this worked. I'm going to go ahead and, not now because it's been a long video already, I'm going to try the ATN optic. If it mounts right on and works, that'll be cool. If I need to run these mounts, a cool thing about the ATN X-Sight, like this is the X-Sight 4K and the new X-Sight 5, they're 30 millimeter tubes, so any 30 millimeter mounts would work. And as long as I can have my eye relief, which I think I'll be right at the back of this, as long as I have that, I should be good to go. You guys can't see what I'm looking at because it's back here, right? As long as I have that where I need it, it should be fine. So I think I'll have enough rail to put my mount. If I need to use these mounts to get a little more height, I will have them. Again, these are the West Hunter adjustable height scope rings. Super cool. I bought a bunch of them because I have a bunch of guns like this that I want to be comfortable shooting them, and I don't want to have a crick in my neck every time I'm done at the range. Hopefully that's been useful and educational. You guys can understand now what I've been talking about between a rifle and a bullpup, and even the AR platform is going to be the same as a bullpup because you want, I never did say why they did it besides the bullpup's compact. Like on an AR, sorry, I'm making it even longer, but on an AR, you're your stock is in line with the bore. The reason they did that is when your stock is lower and you fire, the recoil causes rise. It causes unnecessary rise. When you bring the stock up in line with the bore, the recoil is more controllable. So it's straight back instead of having this rise. It'll still kind of jump on, it still rise on you, but it's far more manageable because everything's in line. That does then mean because you've raised the stock, you have to raise the scope. So that's why on an AR platform, you have high mounts or high optics, is so that you have proper eye relief. It's not a bad thing, right? It's not a bad thing. It's appropriate for the design of the product and the purpose, right? If you want to be a sniper shooting long range, this isn't what you want to use. You want to get a proper gun. You want to get a proper rifle that gives you all the ergonomics you need to facilitate that long range shooting, getting that scope as close to the bore as possible. You need that for that long range consistency. That's why you buy a rifle. Don't buy a bullpup for that. Guys, that's going to be it for now. I hope this has been useful. Hope this has been informative. If so, like, subscribe, all those fun things. And remember to thank our sponsors when you can. You know, we have some great sponsors at Gateway to Airguns that help us do this content. So I really appreciate all of them, all of our pro tier sponsors, all of our standard and plus tier sponsors. All of those guys help us bring this content to you. Also, if you want to help support what we're doing directly, you can check out our Patreon page and also our Officers Club over at AirgunArmy.com. I'll have links to everything in the video description, and that's going to be it for now. My name is Rick here with Gateway Airguns and Airgun Web. Thanks for watching.